Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Scouser Tommies on Anfield Index. I'm Jim Boardman, and as always I'm with Jay Reid, and I'd like to say we're kind of back to the normal world of football now. No more silly season. But I'm only half right. We have got real football back, so it's no more worrying about whether you want to watch Olympic football or World Cup, Euros football, or having to deal with pre-season friendlies and trying to build yourself up for them at 1 a.m. and things. It's now proper football. But of course, the way football is, silly season carries on a bit longer. And it's the usual situation, isn't it? You have a game, there's all the excitement of the actual game, then within minutes people are talking about transfers and the lack of transfers and players going and all the rest of it. So I'm sure we'll get through all that today in our way of doing it. But I suppose, Jay, really we should sort of talk about the first game, which we had on Saturday. We 12:30 kickoff, of course, as if TNT was sending a message to us to start us with me to go on and all that. 12:30 kickoff. And I'd say Liverpool didn't kick off until about 1:30. We looked, first half, I think we looked absolutely, well, let's put it this way, I think we weren't ready for the new season yet within that first half, whereas Ipswich definitely were. Half-time, I know there was one change on the subs bench, but I just think there was a change in attitude as well. Maybe had them saving the legs, I don't know, but people could talk about games with 2 halves, but that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, I think maybe, not to rob a call from Delia Smith, but maybe the 12th man had got off for them. He had a flight to catch, apparently, some musician fella. He wasn't mentioned, I'm looking at it, but maybe he was the 12th man for Ipswich in the first half, and that's why we looked a bit ragged and a bit, weary and sort of run off the park at times. And then, once he hopped on a plane to play a few strings in Serbia, I think it was, and, the sides were levelled up, and all of a sudden, our class shone through. But I suppose the less said about Ed, the better. He's had the 15 minutes of fame, if you want to hear that.
Yeah, well, maybe we were worried that he was going to get the guitar out and start playing, but or maybe people look. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have got other people's taste in music, should I? But yeah,
he appeals to a certain crowd, is probably the best way to say it. But yeah, I mean, I heard yourself on Raw, and I banging out the cliches of the game was too hard, but it couldn't have been summed up any better, because that's exactly what it was. And I think it's been sort of mentioned before on several podcasts, I usually on Raw itself after an early kickoff, that the fact that we we get started, obviously, at 12:30. We tend to always be a bit sloppy in the first half, and then, the second half kicks off naturally around 1:30, 20-2. And on a normal sort of routine 3:00 kick-off on a Saturday afternoon, the players are sort of probably getting to that stage of the day where they are starting to kick into the warm-up and it feels a little bit more natural. And maybe that is a sort of psychological thing where, it becomes a more natural feeling to play that ever so slightly later, mid-afternoon sort of time between lunch and, the 3:00 kickoffs, where we feel a bit more natural and at ease at playing in the second half. But it was really refreshing to see, there's so many positives to take from the second half. Obviously, there's a few negatives, and I think, what I really, really enjoyed most of all was the brutal honesty from Slot in the fact that he wasn't overly critical of any player or, any sort of key moment within the game, but he said, it would by no means the finished article. There's plenty to work on. And, we can see signs of, a different style of play as much as he maybe tries to downplay it. The players have all pretty much in unison come out and said, we have got to adapt. It is different. Of course, it will be. It's a new manager. We've been used to Jurgen's way of playing for so long. But, it's, as we said before, a refreshing change. It was needed. And to see, the mix-up in the second half of style of football that we played. And, that's not to knock what we've seen under Jurgen, because it took us to the top of the game and we won everything with it. But it was nice to see that we could, mix it up, and when we wanted to go long, we could go long. When we wanted to go short and fast, we could go short and fast. If we wanted to go down the outside or down the inside, there's variety of play, and that, again, just an old cliche to throw in there. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and we're going to need it. Football seasons are a long old time, and nothing's won or lost really in match day one, but you can take a lot from it, and we'll get to them later. But if you're on the blue side of Merseyside, there's probably not a lot to take from match day one.
No, unless you put the table upside down, you're all right on the blue side.
That's if you're still in the ground to see the table at that point. There was quite an exodus. Maybe the buses were getting off early on Saturday afternoon. We have to check that one, I think.
Yeah, and I'm surprised the buses turned up. Yeah, I love actually looking at the league table, because it's after one game, and everyone says it's meaningless after one game, but it isn't. It is and it isn't. It's meaningless in some ways, but the psychology of it is amazing, because if you look at the table, we're technically joint second, because the only reason we're lower than that is alphabetical order. But Everton are firmly in bottom place, regardless of the alphabet. There's literally no one else as bad as them at this point in the season. But obviously, there's time for them to turn it around. But I genuinely thought they would get something out of that game. I really did. I thought after all the troubles of last year and everything, I thought maybe they've turned the corner and they'll come back. But there they are, giving us more to laugh about. But as for us, I think I was starting to worry first half that maybe it would them laughing at us almost when, way we were going on it. But I don't think Brighton. I don't know whether I don't know whether Ipswich sort of troubled us enough for what we were doing wrong, if that makes sense. I don't know. There's times when I've looked at us last season and the season before and thought, okay, we weren't great first half, but we did enough. They didn't get past us. We kept a clean sheet. There was always someone to step in and stop them. I don't really think it was so much that they had us under the cosh or anything. I just think they had a few chances that they didn't do that great with, and maybe that's the issue from our point of view. If we start games like that again, and we're playing someone with a decent set of players, maybe full on Premier League standard players, we're going to get punished for it. So I'm hoping that was a one-off. But end of the day, it was late for us. The pre-season preparation. He's actually had 10 days with these players. I don't know. Usually when a manager comes into a club, he comes into a club mid-season because someone's been sacked or something, or because he's replaced someone who's been headhunted because someone's been sacked. And it's unusual for a manager to come in and have a bit of time with his players and get ready. So in a way, you could argue that was a luxury, but at the same time, he's not had any chance to sort of watch him in recent action because they've not played together properly as a team since May, and he's just come in, seen what they can do, and had to sort of handle various things. One of the things I was wondering what was going to happen as well was with Trent. Now, I wouldn't say I spent loads of time looking at it, and it's not always that easy to tell on the TV anyway, compared to when you're at the ground, but I didn't really see Trent sort of hanging around loitering in midfield. I saw him going infield now and again in a particular move because it made sense for him to go infield in that move, give and go or whatever. I didn't really see him running into the midfield, and I don't particularly think he's going to be bothered if he is staying out at right back. I think the team's got enough fluidity for him to still be involved, and he was involved in the game. And we spoke about it a few times last year about the width and the lack of it when Trent goes into the middle, and I think we spoke about the importance of the width. And then I've seen something as well. I've not got the quote in front of me, but Jota's quoting about how Slot wants, his wingers to be more like wingers. It does sound like we're going to be making use of that width, which, if last season's anything to go by, it could be quite a good thing for us.
Yeah, I think the key thing I picked up from the second half was, regarding Trent, and I think if there was a heat map to sort of overall summarise his game, I think he will be more right back than that inverted midfield role. And I should say, he ventured in there as and when it was needed. I think that also coincided with the fact that Konate come on at half time, and no disrespect to Gerald Kwanzaa. He's a younger lad who's still learning his craft. He's literally broken through at the top level 12 months ago. Less than that, probably, when he was thrown into the deep end. And he's got a lot to learn, but moments like this are when you learn most. Don't let your head go down. You'll pick yourself up, and I'm sure Slot and the coaching team will be sat with him, straight away and say, look, it's not nothing against you, but you just need to, sharpen up a little bit here and there. And, Ibu Konate's got a few years on him, and, a few more trophies in the bag and plenty of international and club experience. It's just a case of, what it is in professional football. And, physically, in most ways, Ibu Konate is just more dominant. He's faster, he's bigger, he's stronger, and he's more used to covering out on that side of the pitch because, quite often last season, he was playing right back and right side and centre half anyway, so it's a bit more natural to him, which allowed Trent to venture up the line or inside. But I did notice so much in the second half. Szoboszlai was often either coming really wide to offer the width, should Trent maybe choose to go ever so slightly in field and take that position, where last season we would often see Trent go in there and basically standing on the toes of either Harvey Elliott or Dom Szoboszlai, who probably were deployed on that right-hand side of the midfield 3 at times, and it all become a little bit congested. So it's nice to see a slight tweak where, Szoboszlai's movement can maybe bring a man out and allow that space to open for Trent to exploit either passing or carrying the ball. But at the same time, there was times when he'd probably drop back, not necessarily to a right-back role, but he would be in that area of the field should anything, go awry, and we needed a man in that position. And that's not to say, we want to see him there all the time, because going forward is where Szoboszlai is most effective, but he's got an engine and he's tactically so switched on that he knows, if Trent or Conor Bradley in the second half when he came on ventured into that part of the field, my role is to basically help out and half cover that space and half, offer movements that will create more space. So, tactical awareness from the players and from the manager to be able to tweak things and allow us to progress. And obviously, Ipswich did run themselves ragged in the first half. It was always probably going to happen, throws a team and all that business, but you still got to beat these teams. We record this on Tuesday night and Tuesday afternoon, and Monday Night Football, seen Tottenham go to Leicester, and similar situation, and obviously Tottenham are not quite the same level as us, but they aspire to be on our level, and the opportunity knocks to them where they could have put Leicester to bed, and he didn't, and he allowed Leicester back in, and he allowed Leicester momentum, and he was quite lucky actually in the end to hold on And that's the difference in this league. You know, you've got to be able to be ruthless, take your moments, and impose your superiority of what type of size of club and ability and player that you've got when the opportunity arises itself, that you've got to put these teams to bed. And, you know, ruthless teams will do that. The likes of us, City and Arsenal, and, you know, likes of Tottenham, Chelsea, Manchester United and Newcastle and the likes, I've got a lot to learn, because there's flaws in their armour where they want to be on our level. But until you can master the art of putting teams to bed ruthlessly away from home, especially in tricky situations, then they're not quite going to get there. So it was good to see that we had that. And, you know, I think it was mentioned on Raw that it was our first clean sheet of the season, obviously away from home. And last season, we had to wait till December, which was shocking to get clean sheets away from home, and we only had 4 all season. So if we can get a clean sheet in our next away game, which is, you know, just down the M62 to the Leaky Move Stadium, then, you know, we're well on our way to 50% of last year's target matched. And I'd imagine, given our firepower, if we keep the clean sheets, we'd probably come out of there with 3 points as well.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the other thing, isn't it? It's about. I mean, we said loads of times last year, you'd rather have a 4-3 than a 1-0 because it's so much much more fun to watch. But really, overall, big picture, you don't want to be conceding 3 goals in a game or whatever. And the amount of games where we conceded not just one but more than one. We're sick of seeing the stat coming up. If you ever watched any game or watched Match of the Day, you know, the team that's come back from behind so many times this season, Liverpool were always at the top. I don't want to see that stat this season because I don't want us to keep going behind. You know, it makes life much easier. And that's one of the things as well, I think, on Saturday's game. In the second half, when we were playing the way we were playing, I didn't have, at any point, I didn't start to have that problem then of thinking, oh, we're going to mess this up now. I actually felt we were quite solid, you know, and that's the other side to it. It's not just about the attacking side. I do think we were quite solid. And I think what's happened with Kwanzaa, I think Slot's got a reputation for working well with young players, although we'll come to it in a minute. Maybe some of our young players who are just about to leave or have just left might disagree, but he's got this reputation of getting the best out of good young players. And I think Kwanzaa qualifies as a good young player. And I think as well, when you're that age, you need to be told what you're doing right. You need to be told what you're doing wrong. And if you're told the right way what you're doing wrong, then you'll learn from it. You know, you shouldn't be... I mean, this has been the case at Anfield since the year dot. You know, if some young player thought he'd already made it, he'd soon be told he hadn't made it pretty quickly, in no uncertain terms. And I'm sure Kwanzaa doesn't think he's made it. I'm sure he's going to go away and take on board whatever he's being told. And when he's next called up, he'll come in and do a good job. Do a good job. One of the reasons, like you said, the reason that Kwanzaa got into the squad last year was because we had injuries and we didn't have I mean, we didn't go out and buy any new centre-backs or whatever last summer. We did have others sort of on standby. We had Joe Gomez available. We still had other players available that have since left. But we, like Matip, for example, but, we sort of still had to get to a point where we used Kwanzaa, and he did a great job, and that's how he's in the side now, because he did a great job when he was called on. But yeah, Gomez looks like he's going to leave. That's apparently why he was left out of the squad at the weekend. Matip's already gone, of course. It sounds like Sepp van den Berg's about to go. The transfer window's sort of motoring along quite slowly for Liverpool, and it's all really players going out the other way. I'm starting to wonder now, are we sort of like, we're selling Carvalho, we've sold Carvalho, we're supposedly potentially selling Sepp van den Berg. There's a good chance that Gomez will go. Beginning to wonder, are we just kind of trying to build up some money? Am I being hopeful? We're going to try and build up some money so we can go out and buy a few players, because, with all due respect to Kwanzaa, with all due respect to Konate, Kwanzaa's still learning. Konate still has those injury problems that we've seen the last few seasons, so we can't be sure how he's going to be. To me, it feels like we need a decent another decent centre-back alongside Virgil. We can't expect Virgil to play every game in the Champions League season. So am I just being hopeful? I don't know, but I feel like we do need someone, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I think it'd be foolish to go in for the season with those as your three centre-backs. Let's not even entertain the fact that Nat Phillips should ever play for Liverpool again, with all due respect to me. His level is not even in the Premier League, and we should do the best for his career and just say, off you go with this bag of cash as a settlement, and you go and find yourself a club somewhere, because sadly, mate, you're 27 years of age, and you were never really ever going to make it for us 5-6 years ago, and thank you for your service during that very small period, but you need to go as well.
Yeah, you put yourself in the shop window at that time. Definitely put yourself in the shop window when you did play for us. But the thing is, like, you've faded a bit now. The sun's been shining on you too long, and you're just a faded product in the window now, aren't you?
I mean, there's got to be one of them, Brexiteer clubs who love a defender with a headband or blood dripping down it. There's got to be like a Millwall or the Grimsby or somewhere like that loves the RALO football centre half, and he likes to get in rough and tumble sort of business, and he'll do well at a level, just not ours. But it will be negligent, and we've said that word many a times over the last few years, to go in without a reinforcement at the back. And I don't think it's just a centre half. I think we need a left back as well, judging by Andy Robertson's performance at the weekend. I think it's well been documented over the last 18 months that he's on the slide, and people would not like to admit it because, club legend and all that and whatever business, but he's declining. You'd have to just be honest about these things, put your loyalties aside, take your Jurgen hat and glasses off and just say, look, he isn't what he used to be. It's fine. Not many players continue all the career. No player will continue all the career or a sustained amount of time at that level.
Especially with us, we've got 100-mile-an-hour fullbacks. Even I'm sure on the slot it'll be no different. That we've got fullbacks who are expected to be up and down the pitch at some pace, and we'd still have the skill to put a good ball in at the end of a mad couple of runs up and down the pitch. And other clubs may be fine to be able to slow down as you get older. I just don't think it works with us.
Yeah, we just need a newer model. You've got, as you said, like the miles on the clock, the motor's still ticking over, but you're not quite getting the same amounts of performance from it. And with all due respect to Costa Simicas, he's just a level below in terms of what we require.
He's the second choice, isn't he? But he's not your first choice.
One other thing with Andy Robertson is please take him off corners, because he just can't deliver a decent corner. I think we must have had about 6 in the first half of the day, and I think 1 actually landed somewhere where you'd call it a decent area, and even then Kwanzaa made a foul, so it was quickly, whistled dead. But we do need reinforcements. We know where we need reinforcements. You'd like to hope, Virgil's come out and said, we need a couple of signings. Slot has basically said, I need a couple of signings. As we sit here today, I think is 10 days or something like that left of the window until it slams shut, as they say. And, you know, Mr. Hughes has got to pull his finger out in terms of, you know, he's sat there like that Donald Duck meme where he's counting the dollars walking along saying, oh, yeah, we're getting all the money in. But, you know, you are going to have to part with it at some point.
Short arms, deep pockets at the moment.
Yeah. You know, it's all well and good shifting players on, and rightly so. Like, you know, we've referenced Nash Phillips there, you know, a lad who we should have sold 4 or 5 years ago when his value was high. We knew he was never going to make it. You know, a fantasy of some fans to say, you know, well, you know, we had his turn in the San Siro when he wore his headband, so, you know, club legend and all that, he's never worthy of the club legend status, but sell him when the value's high. And, you know, if the club have done a full assessment, which you'd imagine they have done over the summer, where, you know, they took plenty of players away with them, and Slot and his team had a good old look at plenty of young lads as well. And if they think that Bobby Clark is not going to make it for whatever reason in the next year or two, they've cashed in, they've got an insurance policy, they can get first refusal back on him. If he doesn't end up being the standard that we require, but he moves on from RB Salzburg in a year or two, we get a little windfall, like we have done with Dom Solanke. You know, it took a few years to pay us back, but we got there in the end.
And the thing is, Dom Solanke wouldn't have had, if he'd have stayed at us, there's no way he'd have been having occasional games in League Cups and things. He wouldn't be playing for Spurs now. He just wouldn't have to.
Of course. And to see with Carvalho, you know, like, decent player, you know, and Brentford might just be his level, you know, like lower end of the Premier League. We can see he's a very talented kid. He's got potential. He's probably too good at the Championship level, and he do it regularly in the Premier League. And that's, you know, not just a test for players, for club. You know, you look at the likes of Burnley, who battered to the sieve in the Premier League last season, but have gone down to the Championship, and the hammering teams left, right and centre already. So, you know, it's a big step, and we've got an insurance policy there. If he really is that good in a year or two's time, we can take him back. If he's just good enough to maybe go from Brentford to, say, a West Ham, and we get a little cash windfall from it, and that's his level, then that is fine. But we need to be ruthless. You know, people bemoaned, oh, well, you know, we'll hold on to players too long, or, you know, we need to get back to the data-driven approach and stuff like that. And we went and got Edwards, we went and got Hughes, we went and got, you know, loads of new backroom staff and whatever. And then they say, right, well, we're going back to this approach of recruitment. With recruitment also comes departures, and you have to accept the fact that this is how they work. And if they think a player is good enough and they go after him, you know, they'll do it because of whatever reason the data may tell them. But if they also think a player isn't good enough and we've got to hold them but we can sell them, and that's what the data tells them, you've got to trust them, because that's what you've asked for and that's what we've got. So, you know, you can't have it every which way. And I think we're being smart with it, and you'd like to hope, as we sit here now, that, you know, the next time we record in a week or so's time, we might have had a couple more players out the door who may need to go for their own sakes, but we might have one or two in the door, because, you know, we do need them. And it'll be a long old season if we don't. Realistically, you know, we might be able to force our way to January with what we've got now. But at that point, you may want to burn out 2 or 3 players, and you might lose them for the season, which we've seen in the past. And, you know, 1 or 2 recruits in January doesn't help them, because you probably need 3 or 4 on top of that for the ones that you would have lost. So,
especially as we've just been talking about having like 10 days for some of those players to come back off holiday, a brief holiday, and start playing for us again. They've not had a decent break, so they're going to be worn out even more quickly.
Yes, and after that United game that we referenced earlier, though, we have got one of them silly international breaks again, and I think there's another one in October. I'm not sure if there's any more after that, but, you know, players who play for Liverpool are there because they're really talented, and the chances are you probably then represent the countries, be it at full international or under 21 or maybe under 18, 19 levels if you go into the youth teams. So, you know, they don't get rest on international break. So it is a relentless, sort of schedule for them. And you think of, it's not just the fact that you're going to play for England versus Serbia or Hungary or something like that in mainland Europe. We've got players who go halfway across the world and back in, a short space of time. And then, of course, we always get done with the half-12s after them. We had the Saturdays, and I think we might actually land back with one of them after the international break, I think, with Palace. But, it is what it is. It's how we've got to deal with things. We've done it before. We'll do it again. But a couple more bodies in the door will really, really help us. And it just needs to be quality. That's what we're after. Quality over quantity sometimes might just win us out. We've seen Man City win leagues with 19, 20 players, something like that. You look at the Man City bench a lot of the time and you think, well, there's 4 or 5 lads there who we don't really recognise. 1 or 2 of them might emerge through the season. You think of Rico Lewis, probably broke through over the last year or so, and a year or 2 before that, Cole Palmer, before his move to Chelsea, was on the verge of breaking through. You will look at Man City's bench week on week, and there'll be a couple of players who you've never heard of, and they get by because they've got sheer quality of 19 players or something like that. If we can get to that level, and we've probably got a couple more decent youngsters as well to come through, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, and we have got some good youngsters, that's without a doubt. The only thing I'm wondering about this season is how much we'll use them, because I feel like, a lot of the time last season we were kind of forced to kind of, we had 8 first teamers fit, and then it's fine 3 young lads who'll come and fit in. It was like, that's what it was like at times. But at the same time as that, it was Europa League last season, and you can kind of, you hope that Slot takes all the trophies seriously. Personally, I know everyone has different views on that. I hope he does. But I would say any manager will put different emphasis on the Europa League to the Champions League in terms of how strong a squad he puts out for his European games. And it might be that the Slot doesn't feel ready to kind of risk the young ones. So we'll have to see how the season goes on. But as you say, it's just about having those key plays in all the positions. And I think I said it on Raw the other day as well. We've pretty much got a decent enough first choice 11. Obviously, with Robbo being one question mark and not having a number 6, the other question mark. But other than that, front to back, if you just had, if we had one big game coming up now, we could probably put a decent side out for it without going into the transfer market. But yeah, by the time you get to April, that strong 11 isn't as strong anymore because players have gone. What was interesting though is one of the stories that's come out about the transfers is about us getting a new keeper, and I don't think, the only way I'd be thinking about us really needing a new keeper as a first choice is if something horrendous had happened with Alisson's contracts or something. And maybe it will, because we don't seem to be any rush with Virgil's contracts or Salah's contracts, or is it Trent's contract? At least publicly we don't, and I'm sure there's stuff going on privately in all those cases. But keeper wise, obviously we've got Ali and we've got Queeves as our sort of second choice, and there's another lad, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, who's coming through. But we've got quality there if we need it. As in, it's different with goalkeepers. You're sort of sitting on the bench all the time. You might get a cup game, that's all. But it is difficult as keepers. But it sounds like we've got someone lined up for next season, and the story's kind of emerged. They're sort of evolved a little bit over time about what we're going to do and how we're going to sign this keeper. But it's Mamadash, really? Yeah, I've got a year to get his name right. There we go. So it gives me a year. We're going to have roughly a year to be able to pronounce his name, because the way the story goes is that Liverpool are going to sign him. Originally going to put him out on loan to a club in the Premier League or over here, The story now seems to be moving towards it being that we're going to sort of buy him, but he won't kind of get here until a year from now. A bit like Jibril Cisse did all those years ago. But in that case, we kind of arrived and we thought, why did we buy him? So it does look like we're thinking into the future at least. I still think, though, I'm glad we are. I'm glad we're doing that. We do need to think about keepers. I don't think Kelleher can stay on the bench forever. And obviously Ali's going to get to a point where he's getting too old. So, we're thinking of the future is great, but it's just not going to appease people, is it? Because you can't turn around to people now and kind of say, yeah, the message that's going out if we don't get these players is, we're having a bit of a transitional season. We're letting Arne settle in, see how he feels, see how he goes. We can't afford to do that. We can't afford to slip up. I don't know what your expectations are. Mine are that, if possible, we actually are challenging for the title for a good way of the season, maybe go all the way. I don't want to think of us sort of saying, we're just aiming for top 4. That doesn't feel right.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.